Hey everyone, this is Rav Natan. This is my very good friend. We've only known each other about a month.
Yeah, a little bit more.
And we're getting
about 6 weeks.
About 6 weeks. And we're like on to third date already. Anyway, Matt is a massage therapist in the holy city of Jerusalem. We're doing an event together, please God, very, very soon, all about communication, verbal communication and physical communication. Matt is an absolute professional in what he does, but he just told me now something that I think is a huge discussion that I'd like to, we're just going to put on the video and see what happens. Matt, do you want to let us know a little bit about you and then we'll tell everyone what the discussion's about?
Sure. I made Aliyah about 15 and a half years ago.
That means you came to Israel.
I came to Israel, about 15 and a half years ago. I started practicing massage 16 and a half years ago, learning in Los Angeles, where I'm from originally, and learning other modalities besides deep tissue massage and craniosacral therapy, myofascial release, other modalities. And I mostly help people with pain and strain issues.
This guy's good at what he does.
And stress, of course.
We're not stressed. No one's stressed.
Nobody is stressed these days because we live in a very calm society.
So Matt just told me something pretty crazy. We're talking about different clients and how we can serve them, how we can do that best. And then he told me this.
How do I put it? I've been getting way too many phone calls lately asking me for more than just a professional therapeutic treatment. Way too many phone calls calling me and wanting me to finish them off. A hand job. Or, in the good case, wanting a woman therapist, a woman, maybe not even necessarily a therapist, just a woman to come to them and, or for them to come to my office or wherever and, something sexual. Something about showing up on my website and just not getting it that, this is a therapeutic treatment helping people with, pain issues, strain issues, orthopedic issues, trauma issues, whatever it might be that I can help people with. But they take it, somehow they misunderstand. Touch leads to sex, or touch should lead to sex, or something like
sexual
that.
act.
Yeah.
So
I mean, we were in the middle of a conversation about something else, and I said, I gotta just tell you this. I'm really fed up with it. It's making me sick, and I just, and he said, do a blog post. And then he said, you know what, better yet, let's just do a video right now on it. So here we are.
So it's raw, man. This is just what it is. I think it's important to say we're not judging anyone who's doing that because we don't know why. Part of what we want to do here is discuss why, as a professional who helps and counsels relationships and marriages, sexual issues, non-sexual issues, and Matt also is a professional who deals with his physical, which is so connected to emotions and stress and sex and all that type of stuff. We're not judging. We both see great pain in marriages, great needs not being met. So I don't think we're coming from a place of judgment. What we want to ask is why? Like, why does somebody who, I've never been asked before. I've never been asked before as a therapist, at the end of our session, could you please relieve me? So what is it that when people come to Matt,
and by the way, I just want to say it's always men. Women, yeah. I've been doing this for 16 years. I've treated many, many, many women who, naked on the table, obviously covered by a sheet. Never has any woman ever come on to me or tried to before, during, whatever. And
wow, that's respect, man.
It's
and he's a good-looking guy.
Yeah, wow.
Good-looking, strong guy.
Yeah, it's always been men. So I don't. That's something that can be.
Yeah. So what do you think it is? What do you think if, in essence, we kind of do the same thing? We help people through pain.
Well, I think number one, there's a stigma to massage.
Okay.
Just massage rather than, if you go to a chiropractor or if you go to the doctor and they're touching you. I guess one of the things with massage is that they, a lot of times people will remove their clothing. Different, some will just take a shirt off, some will take everything off. I mean, it depends on.
Does that depend on you and what you need to do as a therapist, or is that up to their comfort level?
Both.
Okay.
Both. So if someone comes in and says, yeah, I need neck work and shoulder work, so most likely they'll either just take the shirt off or not at all, or they'll just keep all their clothes on.
Mm-hmm.
But some people will come in and, a lot of places in the world, it's assumed that you strip down, you get under the covers, and that's it.
And then you come in and do what?
Exactly. Yeah, I always say I'll leave the room, take what you want off, keep what you want on, be totally comfortable. But usually this conversation happens before anyone even comes in. I can tell from a phone call that someone is wanting, they ask.
So where in the
questions.
phone call? Okay, so what type of question?
I can almost tell after 16 years of doing this. I can tell almost within 10 seconds. They start asking. So is it a full body massage? Do you use oils? Is it with or without clothes? Like those are not questions that you
ask when you've got
that you ask, especially when you're you've already seen a website and you can tell it's just me treating. It's there's like a disconnect there, I think, between or they just find my number maybe on a Google.
Mm-hmm.
I recently found out that people Waze'd me. I'm on Google.
Wow.
I'm on Google Maps.
Wow.
And they
found you through there.
They were close by or something. They put massage in Jerusalem, and I came up close. So they Wazed me and I guess called me from Waze. I don't know how that all works.
Okay.
I didn't even mean to do that.
Okay.
I just asked one of these guys after I told
I didn't
them
mean to advertise
that I'm not treating. Yeah, I said I'm
That's
not treating you,
good.
but how did you find me anyways?
Yeah.
Like, weren't you on my website? No, I just Wazed you.
Wow.
So I guess Google Maps and Waze also just says massage, and they just call me. So that
okay. So let me ask you some more questions to try and get to the bottom of this. Okay, have you been able to continue the conversation to an extent that you could bring some type of norm, as in, okay, it's men. You've never had this happen with a woman before. Is it a certain age? Is it married or unmarried? Is it a certain type of pain that they're presenting with? And then it goes is there any norms that run through these requests?
Usually they ask me, where are you? How much do you charge? With or without clothing.
But it's not like...
I can't tell over the phone if they're married or not.
So you don't get to that type of
I don't get to that
discussion.
spot. And it's never about pain.
Never about pain?
No.
So it's not like, I've got lower back pain, and by the way, do you finish men off?
Right. And usually I don't let it get to that point anymore. I can already tell.
Okay. So I'm going to ask you as a professional. I've got my own ideas where this stuff comes from. I think that a lot of people, and this is kind of what we're trying to do, I believe that a lot of people don't know how to communicate with their spouse around what they need, especially sexually. Even in the Jewish world, in the Jewish Orthodox world, where we have lessons with the bride and the groom before to explain different laws about being married, about family purity and stuff like that. I have an ebook on family purity. They get explained all of those things, but there are not many rabbis who will explain to the groom, hey, this is a way that you can talk to your wife when you feel the need for, or when you want to ask her if she'd be willing to. We're not giving enough, in Hebrew, kelim, we're not giving enough communicative tools to our brides and our grooms in order to be able to discuss sex. It's so easy to say what you want for dinner, right? Or where should we go for holiday, or what's with the bank account, but then to say, hey, I'd like you to dress up as a nurse, or whatever it is, or exactly what they're asking you to do, to ask their wife, hey, sweetie, I've been thinking about this for a long time and I really don't want to offend you. I want to just know, would it turn you on if you would mind, finishing me off, or, giving me a hand job or whatever. I don't want to, offend anybody. But that question of, hey, sweetie, would you mind if we explore this, is like such a taboo thing in the world that is actually, it's insane. It's easier to call up a stranger who is a massage therapist, ask them to do something sexual for you than ask your wife.
Yeah, what's that about?
I think that's about ego. I think that's about ego. What is my wife going to say? What is my wife going to think about it? Is she going to say, hey, where did you see that? You must have been watching porn, and then start asking questions about that. Or, wow, you're a sick puppy. Or, like, what is she going to think about me? Or do I have the right? People from like a very religious mindset are like, this is a very godly thing, very structured thing. Do I have the right to even discuss what my sexual urges are, what my fantasies are? And I mean, those of you that follow me know me. Yes, God wants you to communicate these things. God wants you to turn around to your husband or wife and say, hey, I've been thinking about this. Can we try this? Can we try that? Right? Almost anything. According to the Torah, those that are worried about that, according to the Torah, as long as it is consensual with your husband or wife, almost everything is allowed. Why? Because God understands the peace that is brought between husband and wife when they have a good sex life. And so he would far rather you turn to your wife and say, sweetie, could we try this? Would you mind doing that? Can I do this for you? Can I do that for you? Than like call a professional who has so many skills in other places and ask him for it.
Oh, maybe it's easier sometimes to, when you go to someone you don't know, so you're not emotionally connected to that person, and there's no obligations. There's no emotional obligations. So people go to psychologists and pay them a lot of money to tell them things that they can't tell anybody else because they're afraid that other people will judge them.
Yeah.
So, I guess, I don't know, maybe there's rejection involved, fear of rejection.
And worse comes to worse, if Matt says no, then
I said no. I said no, he doesn't know me. Like, right.
But doesn't that say something about sex in our society, that sex is meant to be like, as we know from Bereshit, from Genesis, V'ha'adam yadai et Chava, and Adam knew his wife Eve. Sex is a way of connecting. And
Sex is the deepest way of connecting. I mean, there is no deeper way to, physically connect with someone, obviously.
And therefore spiritually.
And emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. I mean, when you're in that bond, there is nothing closer.
Yeah.
Or should we say it gives a possibility for the closest type of connection.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, if we're talking about these guys that call me or go to a prostitute or whatever, like that connection is not there. It's a wham bam, thank you ma'am, and that's it. I did my thing, I move on, and there's no obligation there. There's no.
But that says something about sex in society, that we've gotten to an extent that we're happy to do a sexual act with someone that doesn't give us the potential for that deep connection. It doesn't allow us to deepen our understanding, expression of love or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's about ego. I really think that that's about ego. It's about me being...
fulfilling my own fantasy.
Yeah. Rather than taking a tool. It's like, this came to my head. It's like...
What's wrong with that, though? About fulfilling your own...
About fulfilling your own fantasies?
Yeah, I mean, what if I have a fantasy about whatever? For whatever, like you were talking about before. This guy, he should come to his wife instead of calling me up.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's married or not, this guy calling me, but let's assume that he is.
Okay.
Or let's assume that he has, a loved one or whatever that would...
So you ask me what's wrong with that? What's wrong with him wanting to fulfill his fantasy?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to fulfill that for him, but that's not my thing.
Yeah. So, like, even if you take...
someone has a fantasy. Yeah.
Even if you take God out of the whole picture, like, forget God.
Okay.
I think that the issue is that if you have a deep enough and an understanding enough relationship with your spouse, your husband or your wife, then you have the potential to do that, to have that fantasy fulfilled with someone who is accepting, who is understanding, who is loving.
So it's okay to have
of course,
desires and fantasies.
Of course.
Okay.
It's natural. It's good. I think it's wonderful.
You're just saying in what environment they're fulfilled.
Yeah, in what environment.
Where do you act it out?
You know, we went. Many people know that my wife and I went to a therapist once about certain issues, and he was actually the guy who kind of got me to make Better Together, the store, the online store that sells sex toys in a modest way.
Mm-hmm.
And he said to me when discussing this stuff, he's like, Nathan, you have to understand, some fantasies are best left as fantasies, right? So there's also that side that sometimes a fantasy, if it goes, as I said, if you're someone who fears and loves and wants to do what God wants, then that can be, the boundaries are, well, what's right in his eyes. But someone who doesn't even worry about that, just because you have a certain fantasy doesn't mean that I need to fulfill it. Right. We see great disasters like in America 2 days ago, right? And yes, there's mental health involved and stuff like that, but there are kids who have fantasies after playing war games or whatever it is of being that person, right? No, you can't actually act on that fantasy. I remember when I was a kid, there were kids in England who had seen some movie or something and they acted it out. They took like a 5-year-old child and tied him to train tracks, right? We've got to teach our children from a very young age that just because we want or have a fantasy about something or make us feel good or macho or loved or whatever it is, doesn't mean we have to act on it.
Of course.
Yeah.
Can I bring up another issue from kind of going back is the... So there's also touch in the massage, but there's also nudity. Mm-hmm. You're not standing there naked in front of somebody, but your clothes are off a lot of times. And there's intimate touch, for long periods of time. It's not just going, open up, let me look, or, the chiropractor.
You should have been a dentist, man. No one would ask me
No one would ask me to do that. Probably not. Yeah.
Don't let your mind wander. Stay focused, Matt.
Exactly. See, it's like saying don't think about pink elephants, right? You got to think about pink elephants. Right.
Okay, so what do you want to say about being
that's wrong with you on the video.
What do you want to say about being naked?
No, I just think that's nudity, especially I think in the American society. I don't know how it is in Australia. Nudity is very sexually related. If you go to like Europe, there is definitely, more of a separation between nudity and sex. Like there's...
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's being naked. You go to the bathhouses or you go to...
Yeah. Nudist beaches and...
Yeah, and it's not a sexual thing.
So I want to ask your opinion on that. Is that in your perspective? Obviously, we respect everybody. Like in your perspective, is that a good thing or a bad thing? Like, would you rather your children growing up,
I don't know,
understand that or think that nudity is a sexual?
I don't know.
Thing
on the one hand, there's a certain. I don't know. I grew up in the States, and like it's still definitely a strong. What do you call it? A strong idea in my head that it does equal sex. Nudity does equal something sexually. On the other hand, I know there's something nice about the idea of, body acceptance, not being ashamed of what you have, being able to go, okay, this is what God gave me. And going, this.
But that doesn't mean it's not sexual, or you're saying to the extent of like,
I'm saying
walk
maybe it
naked
doesn't
on the beach.
I
think everyone would run away if I did that.
You'd be surprised.
Oh, thanks, man. What do you think is healthier?
I don't know. I don't know.
What do you think? Write to us on.
Yeah, tell us what you guys think.
Tell us what you think.
I have a mixed. So on the one hand, I think it's great. I mean, I can't say that I have never taken part in that kind of a thing. You know, I have. I
Respectful.
know. There's a certain liberation to it. You know, where you're just like, this is me. This is who I am, and you know, you're just.
This is my Garden of Eden, bro.
You're just chilling out, and it's like, you know, there's no. People are not going, oh my God, you know, just trying to jump on you, and you're not jumping on them, and it's like it's just not like that. It's not what you think in that sense.
Yeah. What you asked about Australia, I think that it's a lot more like that. Like, I do think it's a lot more like open, that just because someone's naked. I mean, I've never been. I remember like as a young kid, certain family members owned a boat, you know, and they used to like park it next to or near, you know, this new beach. I don't think they were perving on it. That was where they parked.
It was a beautiful beach.
It was a beautiful beach, and so it was like, yeah, okay, so those people are naked there, and we're on a boat. Like,
right.
There's no difference. But I guess, like, I want to go to a place of saying, like, no, you have to be so careful. You have to understand that naked means sex. But that's where I think this problem we're talking about comes from, because a guy's like, okay, I'm going to be lying naked on this massage therapist's bed. That means sexual, rather than being taught. And I think this is my answer. It always depends.
It depends.
It depends on what the environment is. You need to be able to, you know, I'm all about education of children. Like, children need to know that sometimes a doctor needs to look at those areas of you. It's not sexual. Dad, mum is going to be there with you, right? Because we want this safe environment for you when that happens. You know, or you might need to take your top off. Or I know I saw a discussion on Facebook, which was an interview on the TV about the ultra-Orthodox world in Israel, that in fact ultra-Orthodox women, and I'm just saying what was said there, I don't know if it's true or not, but they said that ultra-Orthodox women die of breast cancer more than non-ultra-Orthodox women, even though the cases are more rare, because they're breastfeeding so much more, but they die of it more. Why? Because they're embarrassed to go for the mammogram, because they're embarrassed to reveal themselves, or because any type of advertisement about that is seen as sexual, so it's like, you can't do that, right? So that's an area that when we think that naked body equals sex, it's very damaging. Or that it has to equal sex, it's very damaging.
Right.
It's very damaging. So I think, like always in the Torah, in the Bible, it depends. Depends on the circumstance, depends on the situation.
Even when touch is involved, because as you were saying that, I was thinking nudity and touch maybe together equal sex. Like if someone's naked and you're touching them. So, but even then, they're laying on the table. I create a very clear boundary, you know. Like,
and in there's no romantic music.
No, I don't play music. I stopped playing music in my treatment room years ago, because I
do that. Okay, we can keep going. There's still space.
I felt like it got in the way of people going inside.
So interesting.
Like either they would disassociate, in the sense that they would just float off, rather than, you know. And there's a time and a place for that too.
I just snore.
That's good. That's a compliment. By the way, if you guys ever go for a massage treatment and you fall asleep and you snore, that is one of the highest compliments you can say, because that means that you really trust the person that you, you know, if you can fall asleep while someone's touching you like that, that means
the worst
instinctually that.
But when your wife is lying next to you, also getting a massage, and she's like, "Natan, stop snoring." It's not the best. Anyway, I think let's bring this to a close. Okay. I think it's a very, very interesting discussion.
Yeah.
We started the discussion of people calling Matt, who is a professional massage therapist here in Jerusalem, people calling and jumping to a conclusion that because he's a massage therapist, that means that he will do something sexual for them. Where that comes from, I think that we can probably conclude from our discussion somewhere in society that naked means sex, touch means sex, rather than having a clear differentiation between, in this environment, in this circumstance, touch and naked means sexual attraction, all of those things, but in other circumstances it doesn't. And so I'm going to conclude, and then you can conclude if you have anything to say. I think that the point is, and I say this all the time, what are your family norms? What are you teaching your children? What have you discussed with your spouse? Oh, we also spoke about communication being a major issue. Like, if this guy could come to his wife, and it's not just his fault, his wife also has to be open enough for him to feel at home that he can actually discuss these things with her, these desires with her. And that, I think, is a key issue. So what are your family norms? What are your communication norms? If you feel embarrassed to say to your wife, hey, sweetie, do you think that you could, excuse me saying so, give me a hand job, finish me off, or whatever it is, if you feel uncomfortable to say it, well, like, message her, write her a note, or vice versa. If it's her to you, like, find ways to, this generation is the generation of communication. Find a way to
create
communicate.
new emojis for that kind of stuff.
Oh, really?
I don't know.
If not, we're designing them.
Exactly. That's a good, there you go.
And in order that this same thing doesn't get passed on to our next generation, discuss your family norms, discuss with your children at the right time, in the right age, like always, in the right circumstances, what we as a family accept as a sexual thing or not a sexual thing. And it's up to you to make those standards. No one, including Matt or I, to tell you how to shape that.
Yeah. Yeah. I just want to reiterate what you said about context.
Yeah.
Being what the context is, and also what our intention is. What our intention, I think, in a big way shapes what the context is. Our what are we intending here? Our kavanah, our direction, and what, are you coming in to get treated for whatever, or are you come in, is your intention really to just, go sexual? I think we as human beings could really create that, and if we're clear about it, if we're vague about it, then I think we could be drawn in any direction. Yeah. Someone could come in and totally, but if I'm clear and my boundaries are 100% clear, I am, then there's no question. There's no question. Like, I can be working on very sensitive areas of the body, and it's very clear why I'm there. And I'm there to treat, to help release muscle tension, and there's nothing at all sexual going on. Yeah, I could be working on the legs, stomach, anywhere, and on a very deep level, you will know that I am, I'm completely in a neutral place, as neutral as a human being can get, but, that I am not there to sexually arouse you or to try anything or anything like that. It's very clear.
Another discussion we could have about that.
How do you do that?
Yeah, exactly. How do you do that?
How do you do that? Practice.
Yeah. Okay.
Just practice and intention. A lot of it is
intention, touch.
Intention, touch. Where your head's at and where your heart is at.
Amazing.
Both of them.
Matt. Yada. Matt, what are your, if people want to be in touch with you?
My website is Jerusalem Massage, JerusalemMassage.com. My phone number is 052-636-2000. So
if, I'm going to offer Matt, if he wants me to, if you want to, even if you're overseas, right? If you're in America, whatever it is, and you want to Skype call him about how to
create those boundaries, how to create more trust using touch in your relationships.
Yeah, so he doesn't have to touch you. He can teach you how to do that with your spouse.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And if you go to my website under services, if you click on that little banner thing on the third button down, I have a ebook called Intention Touch for healthy ideas. It deals about touch from a massage therapist. It's an ebook that you can download for free still.
And it's very good, and it's something that we are basing an event that we're going to do in the very near future on that intention touch and the communication.
Maybe you can put a link to that.
Cool.
Under the video thing.
Done.
I don't know if you can.
It's a deal.
Okay.
All right, everyone. RavNatan.com or on Facebook or, yeah. Be in touch. God bless. Bye-bye.